Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Confession. Story 1. Broke my parents' trust. What punishment should I give to myself? Hey everyone, my family fully trusts me, but I am cheating them and breaking their trust. I don't deserve them. They are nice people. I lie to them all the time. The guilt is killing me. I want to do something about it. What to do or how to fix things. Story 2. I stole alcohol from the same store every other day for 2 years without getting caught. I've never told anyone this because obviously it's embarrassing and completely unhinged. This happened during the height of my alcoholism when my family thought I had been recovering. I feel very guilty for lying to them and for betraying the trust they had in me, so I will take this secret to the grave. It's just so crazy that I actually did this and that no one ever knew. I want to tell someone, so I'll post it here. Sorry if it's long. Starting around 2 years ago, during the workday, I would take a 10-minute break and go steal alcohol pretty much every other day. Sometimes 2 days in a row. I worked in an office in a nicer side of town and there was a big chain drugstore about 5 minutes from my workplace. My boss never suspected anything of me. I'd just tell him that I was taking my 10, usually around 10 to 11 a.m., grab my purse, jump in my car and I'd, mostly, be back on time. I'd go to the drugstore, which was normally busy during this time of day, and just head right through the makeup aisle to the back where the pharmacy was, so I did not pass the employees in the front. From the pharmacy, the liquor aisle was a straight shot and then I could go back the same way so that it appeared I was leaving from the pharmacy since I did not have a shopping bag. To be honest, I don't really think it would have mattered which route I took. Nobody ever noticed me. Now most of the liquor bottles had anti-theft devices on them. This particular store was much more lax than others about this though. The majority of the time, I would just take a plastic bottle of cheap vodka and then I'd walk into an empty aisle without a visible camera and just casually put the bottle in my purse. Then I'd walk out. One day, after a few weeks of doing this regularly, I went in and all the bottles were locked with the security cap. Or at least it looked that way. I would always find one bottle that did not have a lock. It was either further behind the others or it was a different brand/type of alcohol, most times more expensive and glass, not plastic. You'd think I would have taken that as a warning to stop and that they were catching on, but I continued to go to the same store and do the same thing without ever running into any kind of trouble. To make this story worse, I would also drink at work with my stolen alcohol and, again, nobody ever expressed any kind of notice about this to me. What I'd do is empty out half of a water bottle and fill the rest up with alcohol. I'd usually take a bottle from the work fridge and put in my purse before I left for my break. Or I'd just steal a water bottle from the store too. For over a year, I was drinking every day at work, starting in the morning and just going all day. The rules of normal society and behavior just didn't apply to me anymore. I got away with so much and no one ever said a thing. I'd go out to my car to refill the water bottle with alcohol throughout the day. I'd just hide the bottle under my blouse so it didn't look weird. I can't imagine what my boss or coworkers would think if they knew what I was doing. I'm honestly mortified thinking about it. In fact, I can make this story even worse because while drunk at work one afternoon, I went to take my 10 and I fell down in the parking lot and suffered a severe injury that kept me out of work for 3 months on FMLA. No one ever knew that it was because I had been drinking on the job, and when I went back to work, I went right back to doing the same routine. For those who ask why I didn't just buy the alcohol, as part of keeping up the appearance of recovering, I needed to be completely honest about my spending and let my partner check my card for purchases as a way to show him I was not lying to him. I couldn't have bought it without blowing the whole thing. Addiction can make you almost sociopathic, and I have suffered the consequences of my actions and continue to. I know I was wrong. So TLDR, I shoplifted alcohol basically every day from the same drugstore and drank daily at work and never got caught. Edit, I really appreciate all the support. I totally thought I was going to get ripped apart on here. Alcoholism is an ugly, terrible disease and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I have stopped drinking for the most part, but my brain is still broken and I still have to learn how to live without it. I haven't fully gotten to a place where I'm at peace, but I can tell you that it's night and day from where I used to be. All I can do is be better to myself moving forward. Story 3. I introduced my younger brother to street heroin. The anniversary of his death is right around the corner. Story 4. I didn't pull over for an ambulance at a red light. I don't remember exactly what the scene was, but I just got my permit and was driving with my mom. I was very stressed out due to my mom. I have misophonia, which is sort of like OCD reactions to certain sounds, and her breathing was triggering me very bad. My mind was so focused on her instead of what was going on around me. I remember rolling up to a stoplight and I remember not knowing what I was supposed to do. I think I could have turned right since it was red, but I didn't know. Then an ambulance was speeding behind me before stopping, and it had its sirens on while laying on the horn. I eventually turned right after my mom was yelling at me. But I was just there, stopped for maybe 15 seconds. I feel super guilty. Those seconds could have maybe cost that person their life all because of me. Story 5. I got caught selling weed, so I gave the rest out to little kids. I sold weed for about 5 years and had many customers. I had no job and lived a really fun life, new clothes every week, blah blah. One day, I get approached by undercover cops after I drove past them, and they checked my details and found I'd been reported by someone who saw me dealing. Anyway, I got arrested etc., locked up but released the same night, with court pending. When I got back home, I thought I should get rid of what I had, which wasn't much because I would buy half a pound every Friday, and the cops got me on a Friday, right before I bought my next half pound. I made up a bunch of sticks, 1-gram baggies, and I drove around just throwing them out the window to random people. I saw these guys on scooters, so I threw a couple in front of them, but as I drove past, I realized they were children. Like 8 years old. I saw them pick it up and get excited, but I kept driving. I still think about those kids and wonder if they smoked it, but hope they went and gave it to their dad or older brother or some shit. Story 6. I got away with working from home when I shouldn't have been. I started working for a company during the pandemic and everyone was working from home. That is until the return to office emails started circulating saying that attendance would be tracked and refusal to come in would result in disciplinary/dismissal. The company has tried to implement other draconian policies in the past that people just refused to do, and these diktats pretty much always went away in the end, so I tried my luck and I just continued working from home. I found out that other colleagues were getting constant reminders and threatening emails if they didn't turn up for their allocated days, but I received nothing. A fairly large number refused to come in and were either let go or found new jobs before they were let go. The company is still losing many people, and it seems like soon they're only going to be left with graduates and top-level managers. I didn't understand why I was being left alone until I was on a call with one of the managers and the conversation of losing lots of staff came up. He said they weren't smart like you and didn't ask for a WFH contract when they started. The only thing is that I never had a WFH contract and I never told anyone I did. Technically I didn't outright lie, but he had somehow gotten the impression that I had a work-from-home contract and I just didn't correct him. At that moment I realized why I had not met the same fate as other colleagues. I'm leaving the company now anyway because I've found a better job with full-time WFH written into my contract and better pay and benefits. It's been just under a year since they started trying to force attendance and it seems like I've managed to get away with it. If I stayed at the company I'm sure I would eventually get found out by someone who bothered to actually investigate, but I guess I've never raised any red flags because my work has always been good quality, completed on time, and I've never caused a ruckus. I'll be glad to start my new job and not have the fear of being found out in the back of my mind. I do wonder whether there's anyone else in my current company that has had the same thing happen to them. They wouldn't exactly announce it to everyone. Story 7. I lit a firecracker that went off on somebody's car. When I was younger I would go to Alabama for the summer because I had family there. Obviously it was the 4th of July lol, but all I know is I was too young to be touching a lighter and I did anyways, so I went to light the rocket ship firework. it fell over and went off on the neighbor's car and I froze and didn't say a word. I never found out if it did damage or if they knew it was me. Story 8. Family thinks I'm staying an extra week at work, oilfield, every month when really I'm going on full-blown drug binges. So I work in the oil field and my rig is in Texas. I work 2 weeks on / 2 weeks off, every month, with the option of staying over an extra week. What I've been doing these past 3 hitches is lying to my family and telling them that I'm staying over another week, when in reality, I'm going on a huge drug and alcohol binge for a week straight in some sleazy motel. I don't feel good about this, and this last time, it made me miss Thanksgiving, but once purge that urge out, I'm straight until a whole month. I want to stop, but my brain somehow convinces me in the moment. Story 9. I stole money from my dad because I was mad at him. Now, from the title, you may think, geez, this person is a dick. Yes. I was. Why did I do it? Because my little 8-year-old brain thought that him calling me useless was as not acceptable, so what did I do to ease my anger? When he was asleep, I took $50 from his wallet. Later that day he convinced himself he spent it on cigarettes. Not proud of myself. Story 10. I stole fundraiser money to buy myself and friends ice cream. When I was in 5th grade, 11Y/0, I was in the school choir. I mostly joined so that I could be with my friends during our elective period. At some point we did a fundraiser to raise money for a band/choir trip. I believe the fundraiser was a skate-a-thon in which people would sponsor us by pledging money for each lap we would skate at the skating rink. I'm pretty sure I raised about $200 in cash and checks from family members and my parents' coworkers. The choir teacher wasn't super organized and wasn't really helping us keep track of the money we were getting and the progress of the fundraiser itself. During 5th grade I also would walk after school to a park with some friends where we would wait for our older siblings to get out of school at the junior high and then our parents would pick us up all at once. Oftentimes, an ice cream truck would come to the park and we would all buy ice creams. Well, one day, my friends and I were walking to the park and when we arrived the ice cream truck was there. At the same time, I remembered that I had about $100 cash in my backpack. So like any dumb 11-year-old kid, I spent the next 2 weeks using the fundraiser money to buy ice creams for my friends and I. The only person that ever noticed that anything was weird about the whole situation was one of the sponsors who had given me a check. They mentioned that the check was never cashed to my mom and she asked me what happened to it. I just shrugged my shoulders and said I don't know. I gave everything to the choir teacher. LOL. I'm pretty sure the choir teacher asked me one time if I turned in my money and I just said yeah, I already gave it to you weeks ago. Nobody ever mentioned it again, and I ripped off my family and parents' coworkers about $100 total. Whoops. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.